going, everyone? The 1MFP here. I hope you're all doing well and having a great day. Today I come to you with a new 21 Pilots reaction. They recently released a new track about 16 hours ago, in fact. It's called Choker. It's single number 2 off of their upcoming album, Scaled and Icy. I've already reacted to the music video for Shy Away. If you missed that, I'll have a link down below for you to check that out. I do suggest watching that video before getting to this one because, I mean, I will likely be referring to some of the things I said back in that video, as I would imagine that this music video is going to build off of what we got in Shy Away. So if you're new to the channel, the way I like to approach these videos is I like to, react to the song / music video, really immerse myself into that and share that experience with you guys through the reaction. And then following that, I like to get into my thoughts about the song, music video, try to deep dive a little bit into the lyrics and give you guys my breakdown, how I hear it, how I'm reading into it. I hope you enjoy the video, the reaction, the analysis. I'm excited. Let's jump right into it. Oh. Stop by everything. Smile, you're on camera. Ned! That orange hat is giving me stressed out vibes.
I don't bother anyone, nervous when I stand, joking on the circumstance, only smoking secondhand.
Josh is like basically ignoring him. Oh, who's this cutie? Trash the dragon!
Nobody's coming for me.
True upset out of nowhere.
I don't bother anyone.
That's really interesting.
Make demands, joking on the circumstance. Self-sabotage is a sweet romance. Seems like all I'm worth is my pain is just a middleman. I know it's over. I was born a joke.
What?
It's coming for me. I see no volunteers to co-sign on my fears. I'm gonna change my circumstance.
Good day, Dima. That's track number 1.
I need to move right now, cause
Hey, you just stole it!
over. I was born
That escalated so quickly.
Nobody's coming for me. Only smoking secondhand.
What the heck?
I was born a joker. Nobody's coming for me. Like a little splinter buried in your skin. Someone else can carve it out, but when you've got the pin, it hurts a little less, and you can even push it further in. Like a silhouette that you can barely see, as a shadow casts upon the ground where you'll eventually lay forever. But the day goes on, the sun moves behind you. You get taller, bolder, stronger, and the rear view only blinds you.
Whoa. Oh man, there was a lot packed into this music video. I could already tell that I missed a lot. There's just so much going on. How could you possibly get it all out of one watch? But man, what an experience that was. Because you get like, I don't know, first of all, you have that, like, not the end specifically, but close to the end when you have Josh carrying Tyler away or dragging Tyler away in that net. It kind of brings you back to the end of Levitate, but in that case it was the Bishop dragging Tyler away. In Levitate, we definitely have Tyler well surrounded with the banditos. He's got his people and he gets dragged away from their by the bishops who, basically try to bring him back to Dima. And then you're pretty much left with that as a cliffhanger, and then you listen to Trench, and you pretty much have this battle of Tyler trying to stay away from Dima, trying to keep himself away from its influence. And I feel like the Nico and the Niners video really put that into perspective nicely, in that you have Tyler starting off confined within Dima, and he's broken free with the help of the bishop, not the bishops, but rather the banditos. And you kind of see the contrast there, right? You see what's going on within Dima, you see what's happening beyond their walls, beyond their confines. And there's some important distinctions going on between the two environments. And I don't want to get into every distinction that there is between the two environments, but I think one that definitely stands out is within Dima, Tyler is isolated, and beyond their walls with the banditos, he's got support. He's surrounded by people who care about him. And if we carry that notion over into this music video, I do think it's interesting that Tyler seems isolated in this music video, right? We have Josh present within it. He's behind the counter, but he doesn't seem to be willing to help Tyler. He doesn't seem to care about Tyler at all. And I guess Tyler senses that, hence why, he's begging for Josh's attention, because he wants to buy Trash the Dragon. But for one reason or another, by the time he actually manages to get Josh's attention, and by the time Josh gets Trash the Dragon out of the display case and puts it on the table, Tyler just steals it. And, you have that whole chase scene, which, that's interesting in of itself. But, it is really interesting that Tyler chose to do that. Part of me is thinking that he simply did it out of spite because Josh was being rude to him. And if we dig a little bit deeper into that, I do think Trash the Dragon's influence plays a part in the act of stealing the toy. This is something I touched upon in the Shy Away reaction. I feel like Trash the Dragon represents this bold, fearless type character. And, there may be some positives to it, in the sense that it's going to help Tyler break out of that state of paralysis, if you will, the one where he's not able to achieve the things he wants to achieve, the state where he's not able to fully express himself, the one where he's trying to hide away behind his masks. It seems to me like his purpose is to help Tyler break free of that mindset of isolating and being reserved. I think part of the reason I'm seeing it that way is, thinking back to a song like Polarize, where he's saying, polarize is taking your disguises, separating wrong from right, deciding where to die and deciding where to fight. There in Polarize, it seems like he's alluding to this concept that he's taking these different parts of himself and personifying them. It's kind of the essence of Blurryface in a way, where he's assigning the negatives to Blurryface, and he's trying to choose the good parts of himself and figure out what's right for him. Like, he's trying to figure out his direction in life by deciding what's right. With Shy Away, it's kind of like Tyler's stuck in this mindset of, this isn't good enough, I need to be doing better, I'm not willing to put this out, I'm not willing to expose this version of myself, I need to be a better version before I set myself free, so to speak. And I feel like the character that's addressing this person in the song is a lot more willing to take risks, It doesn't care about right and wrong so much. It cares about the freedom of expression and being true to oneself. The whole idea of saying something like shed your modesty, it's like you shouldn't be holding anything back. And I feel like you see glimpses of that person in Trench in songs like Levitate and Nico and the Niners as well. You have this version of Tyler that's a lot bolder, a lot more confident, possibly arrogant at times. He's in Levitate specifically, he seems to be calling out Blurryface. He seems to be calling out Nico and the Bishops. He's daring them to come get him. And by the end of the music video for Levitate, you essentially do have the Bishops coming to get Tyler. They respond to his taunts. So perhaps it is interesting to think of it in that sense, where, Trash's boldness and his influence on Tyler can be a negative, because it can get him to be too arrogant. So that's definitely something I'm going to be listening for throughout Scaled and Icy, because I'm interested to see how that theme plays out. You know, this whole idea of I guess, arrogance versus modesty. How does that conflict resolve itself, and how does Tyler grow from it? But anyways, I feel like I went off on a bit of a tangent there. All this to say that this music video felt very reminiscent of what we were seeing in Trench, and you know, that goes to the album as a whole as well as the music videos. I do feel like the scene where Josh chases down Tyler serves that purpose in some way, especially with Josh dragging Tyler away in that net. It certainly felt like a reference to the Trench music videos. But more importantly, we have Josh carrying Tyler away. I think that's very significant to this music video and the way we look into it, because, you know, at the end of the day, Josh has been by Tyler's side the whole time, always there to support him. So why do we have Josh confronting Tyler in this video? Why do we have him ignoring Tyler? I do think in some way this is meant to represent that Tyler is too caught up in his head, to the point where he's allowing his mind to inaccurately depict people who care about him. You know, it's trying to isolate him away from his support system. The lyrics of the song play a big part in that, and I will get into the lyrical breakdown, but before doing so, you know, if we're just relying on the visuals, I just find it super interesting that the two people we have in the music video is Tyler and Josh. You have no one else except the dog, of course. But, you know, you have cars passing by and everything, but no faces, no people, no nothing, just Tyler and Josh. That's one of the main indicators for me as to why I think this is all going on in Tyler's mind. Even if we were to go back to the Shy Away music video, you have them on this world with Trash the Dragon flying around, and you have these multiple versions of Tyler and Josh, and I do think that that's meant to represent the different versions of them, you know, essentially what I was talking about earlier in terms of polarize, and Tyler personifying the different thoughts and emotions. You have each personality essentially depicted by a different person within his mind, and they all appear the same more or less, just wearing masks. And I do think the masks are important in that respect, because it's important to note that he doesn't necessarily identify with one or the other. You know, they're just different. They're different versions of himself that he puts out there. But all of this seems to be happening on this like platform, this world that eventually comes to crumble, and then Tyler finds himself in this empty parking lot in a whole lot of darkness. And I feel like that's his reality check in a way. He's brought back down to reality. And to get back into a little bit more speculation, I do feel like Trash the Dragon is what helped him get there. It helped him break that cycle of being stuck in his mind, and now he's back down to reality. He has to work his way out of that parking lot and back into somewhere where he can find support, where he can find people who, you know, who care about him, and where he can be the best version of himself. So yeah, here in this music video, I do feel like he's stuck in another world in his mind again, where, you know, he's just seeing things in one specific way, and he needs to break free from that mentality. And in order for him to break free, he's going to need Trash the Dragon's influence, which is why I think it was so important for him to get Trash the Dragon. That's why there was so much importance accorded to the figurine in this music video, and hence why he was willing to steal it. You know, that's the sense of urgency in this moment. So that's what I make of the music video. Now let's jump into the lyrics. I don't bother anyone, nervous when I stand, choking on the circumstance, only smoking secondhand, cut us open, spread us out, dry us in the sand, lay the fibers side by side, and you'll begin to understand. Those first few lines do a great job of establishing this idea that Tyler is in a place where he's trying to isolate himself. You know, he's saying, I don't bother anyone. You get the sense that in his mind, if he were to communicate with someone, if he were to be involved in someone's life, he'd feel like he's just getting in their way. And for that reason, he's going to try and isolate himself. And with him saying something like choking on the circumstance, you get the feeling that given a situation, he's just going to shy away. He's not going to act, which makes this feel like a prelude to Shy Away in some way. I know it's over, I was born a choker, nobody's coming for me, coming for me. And this put me right back into Jumpsuit, the music video specifically, because you have this moment where Tyler is ready to give up, you know? You have that scene where Tyler's just standing idle, waiting for the bishop to come take him away. And you have the symbolism with the bishop putting his hands around Tyler's throat. And, that brings you back to the Blurry Face era with Tyler having black paint on his throat, which in a sense symbolizes the suffocation, right? The ways in which those negative thoughts suffocate Tyler. I think it's really important to take note of what Tyler is robbed of in that moment. What is it that makes him willing to give up? Well, he feels isolated. He doesn't feel like he has people who care for him. And beyond that, it doesn't seem like he has music in that moment neither. With the whole breaking both his hands and grabbing his throat, he can't turn to music, he can't turn to his support system, so he is all alone, and he doesn't have the two most important things that allow him to combat these negative thoughts. So in that situation, you have him willing to give up because he doesn't have things that are fundamentally important to him, the things that will allow him to combat those negative thoughts. We'll bring that into this song, and I feel like he's in a similar place because he's saying nobody's coming for him, so in a sense, I feel like he feels that he's in a situation where he can't turn to his support system. And with him also saying, I was born a choker, it does feel like this relates to him not being able to execute, He's not able to write the way he wants to. He's not able to put out content the way he wants to. It's not to his liking. Therefore, he's going to shy away. For these reasons, he thinks it's over, which leads us into this next part, which starts off the same way the first one does, and him saying, I don't bother anyone. So we're brought back to this idea of, he's not going to put himself out there because he thinks he's a bother to other people. But this time, instead of saying, nervous when I stand, he says, never make demands, choking on the circumstance. And then he says, self-sabotage is a sweet romance. Seems like all I'm worth is what I'm able to withstand. Sooner I can realize that the pain is just a middleman. So in this instance, it seems like he's breaking that fourth wall and is telling the listeners that I know that I'm self-sabotaging. He feels a certain way and then forces himself into a corner, and then his mind pretty much takes over and builds a whole world around his fears. And in those instances where he's stuck in those prisons or those worlds that his fear has created, his worth is going to be based on whatever he could withstand within that world. So his perception is so limited within that confined space that he perceives himself to be whatever his mind tells him he is. But then we have him ending on some more hopeful lines in him saying, sooner I can realize that pain is just a middleman. This fear that's telling him who he is and what he's worth, it's based on his pain, and essentially it's trying to protect him from further pain. So in some ways, there is some positive to it, but this whole idea of isolating him to the point where he's completely caught up in his thoughts and unable to break free, that's when we're getting into some more negative territory. And I think what he's trying to get at here is that the pain is part of the process. In some respects, you need to be able to take that pain and move forward. You need to be able to persevere despite the circumstances. And in those instances, it's fundamentally important to not let fear get in the way, because the pain is part of the process. And if you try and eradicate those instances where you are met with pain, then fear will control your life and you will be stuck in that corner. You'll stagnate in your life and won't see any progress. Then we have this section again. I know it's over. I was born a choker. Nobody's coming for me. I see no volunteers to co-sign on my fears. I'll sign on the line alone. Again, alone, such a powerful word in the context of this song. You have this person who seems very isolated within his own mind. And furthermore, he's going to isolate himself in his life because he feels like he's a nuisance to anybody he gets involved with in any capacity. For him to say, I see no volunteers to co-sign on my fears, I'll sign on the line alone, it's him feeling like he's on his own in his struggle, and it doesn't feel like other people can relate to it. And honestly, I think there are many ways to hear that. I do think you could hear it in the sense that he feels unheard, or maybe he feels like he can't go and present his problems to other people. But I think within the context of this song, if you look at the way the verses are structured with them starting as "I don't bother anyone," "never make demands," or "nervous when I stand," it feels like he's isolated himself so much that his mind has painted a picture of the world, one that we see in the music video where Josh isn't part of his support system, something that we know to be untrue if we're basing it on anything else we see within 21 Pilots' narrative. Josh's character within the context of the 21 Pilots music video narrative is so important. He plays such a fundamental role to helping Tyler escape those isolated dark places. He helps Tyler find his will again in Jumpsuit. He helps Tyler break free from Dima's boundaries in Nico and the Niners. In Chlorine, he helps Tyler refill that pool. In the hype, he's there in the house with Tyler, making his way through the different stages of the house, representing potentially the different stages of their career. And you could definitely take that further into the past with the blurry face videos and whatnot. But yeah, Josh's character is just so important in the context of these videos. So to have him portrayed in this negative way in this music video, you have to think that it's a representation of what's going on in Tyler's mind and what his fears are getting him to do. So in this case, it's even gotten to the point where it's painted Josh as this person who won't have his back. It's painted him as an adversary. But then we're led into this section where it seems like he's trying to break the cycle. "I'm gonna change my circumstance. I know I need to move right now because I know it's over. I was born a choker. Nobody's coming for me." So here it seems like he's noticing the direction in which fear is trying to push him in, and he's trying to fight against that because he knows he doesn't want to go in that direction. He knows it's not actually in his best interest. So to get away from that, he's going to have to break the cycle by taking steps in different directions. He's not expecting to be saved because his mind has put him in a place where he's not going to allow himself to be saved. So he needs to start taking steps towards a place where maybe the depiction of a person like Josh becomes different. You know, he becomes a supporter in his mind again. And then we have this final section in the song where he says, "Like a splinter buried in your skin, someone else can carve it out, but when you got the pin, it hurts a little less. And you can even push it further in when your body's screaming out. Trust your mind's listening like a silhouette that you can barely see as the shadow casts upon the ground where you'll eventually lay forever. But the day goes on, the sun moves behind you. You get taller, bolder, stronger, and the rear view only blinds you." So that's definitely a loaded section, but the way I heard it on my first listen, it sounded to me like he was talking about having trust issues in a way, because he's got this splinter in his skin and it seems like he's afraid to let someone help him. And that's where the pain is coming from, maybe, in having them help him. So it hurts a little less when he's taking care of it himself because he feels like he's in control of the situation. However, he alludes to the fact that he could push it in a little further as well. So, you know, can he really trust himself to be more of a help to himself than somebody else? That's where the layers of trust come into play, because you have to think of trusting other people and you have to think of what your mind is telling you and why it's telling you what it's telling you. If we look at the theme that seems to have been laid out throughout these two music videos, in Choker and Shy Away, it seems like Tyler's mind might be under the influence of fear or Dima. So in those instances, how can you be sure that your thoughts have the answers as to what's best for you? And to have us end on lines where he's saying the sun moves behind you, you get taller, bolder, stronger, and the rear view only blinds you. I mean, the sun and the daytime, the light, is something that's certainly symbolic throughout 21 Pilots' discography. And to have that on your side definitely portrays something positive, as indicated by words like bolder and stronger. But overall, I think the whole idea here towards the end of the song is we need to break out of this cycle of being stuck in our thoughts and stuck under the influence of our fears. Moreover, I think that's how he sees himself getting out of the darkness, hence those ending lines. And yeah, that pretty much summarizes what I thought of the song and the music video, how I read into what's going on here. Definitely interested in seeing where we go from here once more. I do think we'll probably get one more music video before the release of Scaled and Icy if we follow the way Trench was rolled out. So I'm excited to see what happens there. Let me know what you thought of the song, the music video, and my reaction, my thoughts in the comments down below. You know, I always love hearing what you had to say. I hope you enjoyed the reaction and the analysis. If you did, please leave a thumbs up. You know, I always appreciate the support. And I will see you all next time. Have a great day, y'all.